I am excited to introduce you to Jessica Gomez. She is my first weekend episode of 2026 where we go a little deeper. I knew she would be willing to do this, or I suspected that when I asked her, because I had recently been following some of the reels that she had been sharing on social media. And it made me think, wow, God's doing something similar in her life. I would love to compare notes, see what's going on. So I knew she was willing to share authentically and vulnerably as she did on this episode. In the pre-conversation, she mentioned Working Genius and that she had read the book. So of course, I was very tempted to do a deep dive into how all this pertained to her geniuses and how she showed up in work and in life. But I resisted because I knew I wanted to get more to the essence of what was unfolding in her life currently and where all that started. So enjoy the journey through this episode. Welcome to Pursuing Joy, where we discuss audacious stories of joy-infused strength.
So my name is Jessica Gomez. I am a wife, been with my husband for 14 years, mom of 3 daughters, ranging in age from 9 to almost 17. We homeschool, we love Jesus, we are messy and broken, but we just keep moving forward. I think that a big season that I'm in my life right now is just learning how to walk in obedience, learning how to love who God made me to be, learning just all the things the wisdom that comes with age. So I just turned 40 last year. I'll be 41 in September. And I'm entering into a season that is just so brand new and exciting. And I don't know. I feel like I'm in the show, but I'm like watching the show.
Oh, yes.
I'm not in control of the show.
Yes.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen next? And it's my life. So
okay, yes, I can feel that to my core. So
that's
definitely,
exactly
yes.
where we are right now.
I just had a woman on my podcast that went from being a lawyer to an advocate. And this was a transition that she made between the ages of 40 and 50. And what I told her is, why didn't anybody tell us? Why didn't anybody prepare us that we were going to just completely dismantle our lives at this age? Or even at least be nudged to do that. I don't know that everybody listens to that. And I don't know that everybody's called to that. But I feel like I had no warning for what the were going.
It's really exciting, like after having so many years where you're pouring into other people, whether you're married or have kids or not, just as women, what we carry a lot of times is like we're pouring into the other people around us. And then, you kind of enter into this season where like a discontent, like an uncomfortableness, like there's something else. But what is it, And so that's how my conversations with God start. Like, what is it? What are we doing now? Because
yes. And that's what I want our message. That's where I'm seeing a lot of my conversations going right now is, okay, we weren't warned.
Yeah.
Or prepared is really what I'm saying. Not warned like, watch out. But oh, by the way, things may shift for you more than just in your body, right? In your soul and in your mind and in your heart. And so that is, I think, a lot of the message for today. So a little background, and this is where social media, I know there's all kinds of feelings about social media and how negative it can be, how addictive it can be. But so many, especially when we were traveling, this is the way I've been able to connect with people that I've met on the road and learned new information and, what is going on. And so we originally met in RV park in Vacaville. Is that where, and that's where your house is now? Is that correct?
Yeah, we're in Dixon now.
Okay,
so
right.
It's just
Okay.
right up the road.
Okay. So, and is your husband still a welder?
Yeah, he's a pipe fitter. But yeah,
Okay.
same thing. Like the
Right. Yeah.
same
Yeah. Yeah.
industry, you know.
I know
That
that. Yeah.
don't let
I'm.
them hear me say same thing.
Yes. I know. I know that. Yes. I know. Let me be careful. No offense to whoever's in what role. I know you all have your spot. I know it makes sense on the job.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so when our family was traveling and my now ex-husband was a welder, we were traveling for different welding jobs and then met Jessica when we landed in California. And our girls were itty bitty, even here in the range that you're saying and thinking of the range that I'm in right now. It is such a sweet spot in life. I'll say that. But
Really.
but I did love RV life and exploring at that stage in life with the girls as well. And so we were homeschooling and we were able to go on field trips together and then realized that we both were born and raised in Memphis and probably not that far down the road from each other, which is always super fun traveling and finding those kinds of connections. And then I ended up leaving California. Actually, that's when I knew that the end was near with my marriage and kind of left, not at night per se, but it was more of like, okay, I know it's time to leave. I didn't make, a huge announcement about it. But you and I have stayed connected on Facebook.
Mhm.
And recently we'll start with some of the obedience here. So recently you have been posting just short videos and when I started watching them, I was like, oh my goodness, this is happening to somebody else. These things that God is calling me to do that seem fairly radical, big pivots. So this is happening to somebody else, and it's somebody I know. I can reach out and find out more of like what's going on here. And so I know you started sharing the videos, and I and correct me if I'm wrong about this. Did something come up about like wine
Yes.
and socializing with okay, so I
Yes.
wasn't sure if that was you or
Yes.
not. I've had that so that I haven't had that with wine, but I've actually had that come up with caffeine. And
Mhm.
went through a pretty big detox actually when it was time to give up caffeine. So just start where you want to with where God was calling you to different things.
Yeah. So it's the whole RV life thing is just it was such a that was also a call of obedience of sorts because you know just entering into that we were going against the grain. We were RVing and
Right,
homeschooling
right.
before it
That
was
is true.
cool. We did it before it was cool. Just saying because that's how we like stayed together and were able to like be a unit and travel with the jobs together. And it's just really freeing to have that flexibility and to be able to explore and meet people. And the fact that we never met in Memphis and then we met across the country in California is so crazy to me. But that's such a God thing, like the way that He
Mhm.
works. He puts people in your life in the season where you need them, and you have this connection that you wouldn't have had anywhere else, you know? And
Yes.
so I just love the way that that works and that he does that for us. And so you guys ended up heading out and we have stayed. We came here for a 6-week job 8 years ago. And so if I eventually it came to the point where like, I think we live here. Like, I think we're permanent residents. And so we ended up buying a house and we live here. And I've been a stay at home mom, this entire season that we were RVing. It was pretty impossible to
Oh
work and
yeah.
pursue anything on my own because I had to be flexible to move for Simon's career and for those things. And to like, those jobs, are so demanding with time and schedule. Like you have to have someone present,
Mhm.
especially with younger kids and while you're in the throes of homeschooling before they can take care of a lot of things themselves. So I was just like, feeling like you pour a lot of yourself out and you really don't have a lot of time to think about your calling or needs or anything like that, because
Mhm.
that's my calling then, is like to take care of my
Yes.
family and my kids, and that's where I was, and I was so happy to have the opportunity to do that. But now that we've, my kids are older. My youngest is 9. My oldest is about to be a senior in high school. Like, we're in a different spot now, and I just started feeling like this discontent, like this, and it wasn't that I wasn't happy. I had all of the makings to be happy that you would think, like, on paper, like, and I found joy in my life, but there was something else. I just kept feeling this nudge, like you said, there's something else. What else is there? And I had just finished reading John Bevere's book, Driven by Eternity, and
Okay.
I was like, okay, it was a heavy read.
Everything by him is heavy.
And I thought, I mean, the main thing that I kind of got from it was, what I received from it was, if there's a task that I've been entrusted with, or a duty or a mission or whatever you want to call it, what that I've been entrusted with, I doing what I need to be doing on my end, like to be able to walk in that. And one of the biggest questions really that comes with that is, what is in the way in my life? Like, what's in the way that needs to get out of the way so that I can even be open to listen to what it is? Because oftentimes
Mm.
there's things in our life that we're not willing to let go of because it's comfortable, or it's what we know, or we're just not willing to give it to God and and see what happens. And so, and I've asked this question a few times, and I just didn't agree with him the first couple of times because it's always been alcohol for me, and I feel like every time I say that, I almost, like, I have this twinge, like I want to explain it, like, but I wasn't,
Right. It's what
I
you
wasn't
weren't.
appearing. Yeah,
It
like,
was. It
I
was like social drinking, or yeah, like a glass
it
of
was
wine at
social,
night.
and we're in wine country out
Oh
here,
gosh, yes,
We're
the wine and the cheese.
surrounded
Oh yeah.
by we had memberships to different vineyards, and we would go on a date and do a free wine tasting because we paid for the membership, and it was just like a fun thing to do. And I would really like to have a glass of wine while I cooked, like at the end of the day, have my
Hmm.
glass of wine, cook dinner for everybody, and it was just what I wanted to do. And, a little backstory about me is that when I was younger, I did have a huge problem with substance abuse. Like, I mean, starting
So
pretty
did
young,
I. Were we at some of the same parties?
we wouldn't have known.
I mean, red cups, red solo cups still kind of trigger me a little bit, I'll say. If
I
I
know.
see
I'm like,
them,
what's in that cup? I mean, I remember, like, and it got pretty bad pretty fast, and a lot of it comes from, I mean, we could go all the way back to like deep rooted childhood stuff. I was molested at a really young age. Like, it's just, and it does something to you in a way that you carry for a long time, that you don't
hmm,
know that you carry for a
right,
long time,
right.
until you get older and you have to deal with it. And so, I mean, there was just a lot of like like not feeling worth, not feeling loved, not feeling noticed because nobody noticed when it was, or I felt at the time. I've since learned that, after conversations with my mom, that there was some knowledge there, or some suspicion, and that she did do things, but I didn't know that at the time. I was so
Right.
young. But I carried this feeling of like not being noticed, not being worthy, not feeling like loved, or not feeling good enough. And so what do a lot of people end up doing? Self-medicating, like,
Hmm.
I just don't want to feel like this, so I'm going to feel like this. So by the time that I was a senior in high school, I was going to class with vodka in a water bottle and cocaine in my pocket. Like, it wasn't just a little substance abuse problem.
Okay.
It was a big one. And I ended up, we were living in Savannah, Georgia. I ended up moving back to Tennessee, where my mom was. And I had to completely start over, get away from it. And I still struggled after that, like with different things, but not to the magnitude that it was when I was younger. So it took a long thing. So saying all that to say, when I got to this point where I feel like God's telling me to give up alcohol, I'm like, is it really that big of a deal compared to all the other stuff that I used to do? Like, I'm
Yes.
negotiating.
Yep.
Like, I'm negotiating, I'm rationalizing it. It's just my one glass of wine. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. And because I'm rationalizing it and not willing to let go of it, it kind of is a big deal.
Right.
Like, it
When the
kind of is
neutral
a
thing
thing that I
becomes the
need to
thing.
let go. And so, I have the, and I joke about this because I have so many conversations with God in the shower because as a mom of three, it's like the only time I'm alone with my thoughts
Yes.
and God, and I put on my worship music and that's like my
Mhm.
time.
Yep, I get that.
So I'm in the shower and I'm having this conversation and I'm kind of like I feel like the way that my relationship is with God is like it's just so I don't want to say familiar in a way that's disrespectful, but I'm me and he knows I'm me and he made me me. So I'm like, okay, like we'll try it. Let's do it. And so the last time I had a drink was February 16th of 2025. So it's been over a year now,
Oh, wow.
which is yeah, and once that happened and I just started walking in it, it took some months. The first things that I noticed were like so many of the things in my body calmed down. I've
Uh,
struggled with
yeah.
autoimmunity, and the autoimmune diseases just pile on if you don't get to the bottom of it and start the healing process from within. And so many things in my body calmed down, like that needed to come first. And so and then the emotional regulation that comes with not having that and not inserting that in my body and all of like this healing process that he walked me through that was so beautiful and so good. And then all of a sudden doors started flying open that I would have never I couldn't it wasn't even on my radar. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't even imagine it if I tried because I would have never thought of it before. So, my husband and I had had a conversation. His work had started to slow down a little bit. And he's like, and he had never wanted me to work before. He wanted me to be available to do all the things at home that I needed to do. And every time I had tried to work before, it was not a good idea. So it was really his prompting, and it needed to be his prompting to get me back into the
Right.
workplace. It's where we needed to be so that it was a family decision. So he like, "Jess, I think that it might be time for you to go back to work." And I had tried a couple of different times to work at the church, and it seems like the timing never lined up because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna work in kidsmen at the church. Like, I'd love to do that." I was there all the time anyway. And so I
Mhm.
really thought like that's probably what was going to end up. And at the same time, I'm just typing on a Facebook moms group. Like this is how I defined my information in the local town. Facebook moms group, and I just write job in the search bar, and this job posting comes up for a chiropractic office in town. I had never been to a chiropractor ever. And I'm pretty like hippy dippy, crunchy, like holistic, like
Mhm.
and I had no idea anything about chiropractic. I thought about pain management and cracking and stuff when I went. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna just put applications out there and see what happens. And so I applied for this job. I actually did get offered a job at the church at the same time. But I said, I'm like, I feel like I need to go through with this interview. They called me in for this interview. So let me see what it's all about. I go in and it's just an instant click. Like the owners are a husband and wife chiropractic team. They have several kids that they homeschooled. And so we
Oh,
just have
wow.
this like kind of connection right away that I just felt at home there. Like it was just a peace when I walked in and I got really excited about it. I'm like, okay, well, this could be somewhere really fun to work because I get to interact with people. I love people so hard. I love them maybe more than they want to be loved that day. Like I just want to know everything. I want to know
Right.
everything. So I was really excited to have that opportunity to be able to work there. And as I'm working there, I just start learning so much about what chiropractic does for the body. And I learn about how just the connection of the whole your brain to your body and how your body is created. And I am just someone that's always been in awe of all of God's creation. Like we'll go on
Mhm.
hikes and I'm looking around like, look what you did. Like, how did you do this? And seeing the way that nature is so dependent upon everything in nature is dependent upon each other, and
Right.
everything is created to support life and other things. And our bodies are created the same way. So, one of the perks of working for a chiropractor was that I get free chiropractic care. So, I'm going in, like going through the process of being a new patient. And I get to see my x-rays, and I get to see all the issues in my body, in my spine. And she's breaking it down to me in the x-ray room. And she's like, showing me all the issues in my neck and in my lower back. And where I know I've had injury in my lower back, I had
Mhm.
a motorcycle accident when I was 19, and I've just lived in pain because I just got used to it. I've been to physical therapy, nothing ever worked.
Right.
But she was showing me how in your vertebra, it's stacked on top of each other. It protects your spinal cord, and all the nerve endings coming off your spinal cord go to different organs. And so when you have issues in your spine in that area, the nerves coming off the spinal cord going to those organs support the function of that organ. And when you have anything that's subluxated or anything that's in the way, right? It's interrupting the communication between your brain and that organ,
Okay.
disrupting it. And so all the issues that I've had are in my thyroid and reproductively. And it's just blowing me away. It's blowing me away to see the connection. I'm crying because I cry at stuff. And I'm just blown away that how did I never know this? And how it's just, and seeing how God brought me into that office to even learn about this. And then she goes out of nowhere. She's like, you could do this. You could be doing this in 5 years. And I'm like, who could be doing? I had gone to college already. I have a degree in paralegal
Mhm.
studies. I had originally wanted to follow through, go to law school, and be an attorney. And then I got pregnant with my second daughter, and I stayed home ever since. So when I thought like I would start a career again, I'm thinking like law. I'm
Right.
probably just going to pick up where I was and do that. I was pretty good at it, not bad. I'll do that. But just to see someone else seeing something in me that I didn't see for
Yes.
sure and calling it out like, you could do this. At first I was kind of like, okay, like thanks for the compliment.
Right. Yeah, that was a nice pick me up, and let's
But
proceed.
I didn't, I kind of just sat back here. And then the longer that I was there, and they really just kind of took me under their wing, I felt like they were just kind of mentored me into some things. They took me to a conference. Simon and I went down to a discovery weekend at the chiropractic college that's here about an hour and a half away. And we're leaving. It's a 2-day event, and we're leaving. And the first night that we went, we're like, there's no way we can do this. There's just no way, because it's an hour and a half commute there and back 5 days a week. I wouldn't be able to work. Our kids are still homeschooled. Like, we're thinking of all the reasons why not and what's in the way. And this is not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be good. Like, we're fine where we are. Like, we could stay where we are and be okay all the way till the
Right.
end.
Right, right. Yes.
I don't have to do this. And then we went to the second day, and we both get in the car, and he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think I have to go." And I said, "What do you think?" And he's like, "I think you have to go." No, Simon doesn't often get super emotional about stuff, but I think, the Lord really spoke to him in those moments, which I need as a wife. I need for God to be speaking to him. It can't all be like,
Oh, yeah.
him speaking to me and my idea and trying to convince my husband into something, because that never works,
Mm-mm.
like for us at least.
No, no. I think with everybody kind of, I'm always so interested in this dynamic because you hear it in all different ways in the marital relationship when God speaks to one and then someone else catches up, and it goes both ways. And I'm always very interested in how, because God wouldn't cause, divisiveness, right? He
Right.
wouldn't come in and be like speaking to you in this way that would cause, there has to be an alignment there. And I've heard it in all different ways of how it happens. Sometimes it's immediate like that. Sometimes it's a few months. Sometimes
Mhm.
there's all these different things, but it tends to always come together if you're in alignment spiritually already, right?
Yeah.
If you're not equally yoked, that that formula, it's not quite as predictable.
Right. No, for sure. Well, and that's what we needed. And what I needed as a wife was to hear God speaking to my husband and him supporting the process and really fueling it. And that's what happened. And he's like, "Jess, I just really feel like God's telling me that I can't control everything and I can't hold, I can't try to make life feel more comfortable. And I think that this is something that he's going to use for the benefit of our whole family. So it can't just be a Jessica show. It can't be oh, you're going to go back to school and you're going to be a chiropractor and good for you. It has to be a family
Yes.
thing that we do together, and that because the doors were opened and I just asked for doors to open. I didn't ask for which doors to open. I just
Right.
want to know what the doors were. So can you like point the door out and I'll walk through it? And so to kind of get that confirmation that we're on the same page, that we really do feel like God's going to use this and how he's going to use it ultimately, I don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe our kids will end up coming into it, maybe regardless of how it looks. It is going to be really hard, and it's hard already. Like the transition has stretched us in so many different ways. I think for good, because it's really taught us to be a lot more dependent on what God
Hmm.
does when you walk in obedience. Like we're not doing everything in our own strength. We're not figuring it out. Like every day feels different and new, and we have to have that like surrender to lean on the plan. Like we're just taking the steps forward, and he's letting it unfold as we're walking through it. And it's like I see the things in my kids that are coming up as a result: more independence. They're owning their education a lot more. They're just stepping into their own. They're cooking, they're doing all the things, and it's not just like household chores, but having an ownership over their life and their day. What
Oh,
what
yes, yes,
it,
that
it
mhm.
it's
It's
just yeah.
we're not because it's I was thinking about this because I had someone on here talking about, like, the generation where you came on where when the street light or came home when the street lights came on, like, we weren't telling our parents the kinda things that were going on because we wanted to be able to go out the next day, like, there was a lot of independence. Now, there's other things that came with that, so I'm not gonna
You have
sugarcoat
to go
that.
all the way back.
I mean, there were lots of things that parents didn't know about probably, but we've gone to a whole nother extreme. And that I have noticed in the season of my kids having to really fend for themselves, around me within my eyesight, but I can't do it all based on what I'm trying to, and they are going to have an independence that is going to be necessary when they launch because as a mom, when you can, you just take care of the things.
Right.
So I think it is, and framing it as a family effort. Like I even tell the kids as far as homeschooling is concerned, if you want this, if this is something you desire, then you have to do your part. And I will do my part, but you're going to have to do your part if this is,
Mhm.
our family culture, if this is the way we're going to go.
Right.
So so let's just break this down a little bit. So Simon is still working a full-time job, yes. Okay. And the same kind of schedule that comes with that job, which could be anything. I know. Like it could be the night shift, it could be 12 hours a day, it could be 80 hours a week, it could be 30 hours a week. Like it's all over the place. So you're still on call for that
Mhm.
scenario. You are a homeschooling mom. You are working at the chiropractic place still, and you are going to school right now, all at the same time. Okay. And sometimes, yeah, I know sometimes you just have to hear it to know. And I had a friend tell me a while back to one way to make a decision is what will make you more dependent.
Mm,
And sometimes it makes you more dependent by giving up the thing, not doing the thing. Sometimes doing the thing makes you more dependent. Sometimes a relationship makes you more dependent. Sometimes giving up the relationship makes you more dependent. So just in that season, what makes you more dependent? So I would say you're definitely feeling, and you've already explained it, the reliance. Like this is a stretch that could only be done in a supernatural way.
right. Right. Yeah, it's all good things. And I can see it's so funny to me how when God starts to move and you see how he prepared you along the way. Like I see patterns in the past that kind of built up to this without me knowing that it was building up to something and preparing me to do it. And it just the surrender that's necessary to get through every single day and have joy, find joy in every day
Mhm.
and find a peaceful moment in every day and not and so that's where I have been yo-yoing like since this started. I just started new classes in January and so it was a little bit of a lot. And so a lot of where my human tendency would be to strive and perfection. And if I'm doing it, I'm gonna to be the best in my class, like, and I would, so that's like doing, and then because of that, some things fall off that are more important in the family, and so it's finding a balance, and then it's always like a recentering, and we do it as a family because it's easy to get lost in our days. It's easy to get lost in a really hectic schedule, and so, but it does make us dependent on God because we have to stop and recenter things, pull things back, and like, okay, God, like, we're walking in what you're doing. And we want to do it in a way that glorifies you in the process and not um, making it a human effort, a human goal. I think it's been a hard
It's a
teetering.
yeah.
I
There's a
honestly don't.
tension in all of it, I would say, as in that because there is a thin line, and I'm for the godly ambition versus the selfish ambition. You have to really keep your eye on it to know when you're veering
Yeah.
to the other side of that.
Sometimes I don't veer. Sometimes I'll like hit this wall and then I hit that wall and then I get back in the center lane. That's what it feels
Yes. So talk about that. So you posted a video and you talk about how you were ready to give up because it just
like.
wasn't working, and then how you did recenter yourself because you didn't white knuckle forward when that happened. So what did you do
Well, I kind of
after you freaked
panicked
out? Yeah.
after my a complete crash out with it because and my husband just brought it to my attention that I was studying, which studying is necessary. So like that's what I find that I'll say something and then I feel like I need to explain it. But studying's necessary, effort's necessary. We want to do well at the things that God's called us to do.
Mhm.
But it's when I take it out of his hands and put it in mine, I mess it up. Like I make it messy and murky and then it's not nobody wants to do it anymore because I've taken it away. And so after I had my moment where I'm like, I'm just not gonna do it anymore, which, I think that we just came back together. We had a family meeting. We talked about how to better balance our time, setting aside intentional time for each other in our marriage, setting aside intentional time where it's just the kids. Like, it's because I'm a busy mom, I'll have my headphones in a lot and I'm listening to something. Like, I'm listening to a lecture or I'm listening to like something to kind of like feed in what I'm doing. So it's in there. I'll listen to my textbooks. I'm not that interesting. I listen to anatomy
Right,
textbooks.
right, right, right.
I'm getting
Yeah,
it in how I can, but that
yeah.
makes me unapproachable, right? If I have my headphones in all the time. So I have to like have time that I'm just completely dedicated to the family. And then also realizing that anything that God's calling me to walk in, like the enemy's going to take it and try to pull me in that direction. He's going to try to pull me into this like selfish, successful, like don't, ambitious, just perverting the plan, perverting
Mhm.
what God's trying to do. And I think that that's what Satan does a lot of the time is that he'll take something that God's doing and then he'll try to twist it in a way, but it sounds good, you
Yeah,
know?
right. It's not sin.
No, right, right.
It's good thing overly a good thing turned into an idol, honestly, is what
Right.
it what it what
Yes.
it ends up.
Yes. It turns into an idol and then you're putting that above everything else. And so, but that's what he's done since Genesis is like take something and twist it and make it seem like,
Yes.
but
Did
doesn't
God
this
really
make
say?
sense? doesn't this make sense? Don't you think? And then you start like spinning around and spiraling in your mind. And before you know it, you've ended up somewhere that you were never supposed to be. And so when I was preparing for today, I was telling you earlier that I was listening to like some prophetic words that I had gotten before, and I have them recorded on my phone. So I was listening to them from back in 2023, and I listened to them consecutively over the last 3 years. I think there are like 6 or 7. And they're just recordings that I have of people praying over me. And they all have one theme. It's like a common thread like that I can see woven through them over the last 3 years. And it's all talking about how like there's an unfolding happening like a game board, that you take the game out of the box and you unfold the board. And as you unfold the board, you see more of the game. And like
Okay.
that's what God's been doing. And that to hear them like in a row like that, not chopped up over 3
Right.
years, I can see it so clearly that that's what's been happening over all of these years of preparation that God does in us, and all of the things that we think could be mundane or failures or mistakes, that he like is using all of those things to prepare you for exactly where he wants you to be. And he can use all of it for good if you're willing to let him use it for good. And so I've just been super blown away by the process. Gosh, it's just so sweet. It's just so sweet and special just in my relationship with him, and seeing how that he'll like the one thing that you want to hold on to the most and you're not willing to let it go, and you just get it out of the way, and what he'll do, and just wait and see.
Yes. So one thing I want to ask you is during, it's because now I'm realizing we even have more similarities from our background. So I know this happens. Like when you start having children as a mother, you start getting like when each of my kids reach a certain age for when certain things are going on in my life, I get I get attacked, I guess I'll say is how it is. I get very triggered. And there's just certain parts of motherhood that are triggering. Do you feel like in this that some of that old stuff is coming up and bringing out new layers to be healed in this season of the things that you're being asked to and called to do?
Yes. 100%. I really do. I mean, because there was so much hurt before, and just the feeling of unworth and unimportance and like this unlovable factor, and then just to see how God's just so good to as I was ready to be able to walk through it, because when you heal through something, you have to feel it all over again. And it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a journey. Like you have to go through the whole thing all over again. And so I feel like it's been something that he's carried me on through years to see. I would find myself praying to see other people the way that God sees them, but not praying to see myself
Oh,
the way that he sees me,
yes.
you know? And gosh, that's going to make me emotional, because it really is a beautiful thing when you can see yourself the way that God sees you, and be reminded that, you're just as precious as everyone else, and that he created you like so specifically on purpose, uniquely, and you don't need to look like everybody else. You're not supposed to look like
Right.
everybody else. You're supposed to be uniquely who you are. So just by like feeling so loved and seen, and and I feel like that different things will come up and trigger me throughout different trigger me.
I know. I don't know another word. I know it's a huge buzzword.
I really don't know any other word either, because it triggers memories, but not just memories in the way that I felt at the time, like a physical response in my body for
Yes.
the way that I felt when I was there. And to be able to stop and sit with that and let God just speak over it, like he was there the whole time, and he saw something in me the whole time. And to be able to have those moments where I still have, like, I cried the other day for like 4 hours because I heard a song and it hit me, and it just like pulled me back into this season from like 10 years ago. And I just couldn't stop crying. Like I had a physical release of just tears
Uh-huh.
coming out, but it was really good and beautiful, because I just felt like he was just nurturing me and loving on me in that moment. Yeah, I think a lot of those things have come up where I'm learning to see myself the way that he sees me and not apologize for it. Like, not apologize for being good at something, because
Right.
really, like when you're walking in your gifting, it's not something that you have to put a lot of your effort into, I mean, I have to do the work, but I don't have to try to be something that wasn't already,
Right. It's
because it
not
was
striving. It's a
right.
natural
Yes. So
ability.
I'm having to walk in discipline, but I'm not having to walk into something that I was never created to do in the first place. And just to see the way that he sees me, like, these are talents and gifts that I gave you, and that is to be used for the benefit of other people around you. And if you're not willing to acknowledge the talents and gifts that you're given, how can you use it for anyone else's benefit? How can you use it to
Mhm.
glorify
And they're
God?
not gonna trust you. If you're like, I kind of think that you can't
That's
waffle like that when like, I just started and I actually started asking people permission for this. I'm like, am I real not the people that I'm like, offering my services to or anything like that, but just talk I'm like, "Am I allowed to say I know? Like, can I really say that I know? Because I tend to feel like I need to buffer it with I think or I feel. But again, that's not trustworthy. It sounds like
Mhm.
you're hesitant, and I'm just starting to understand that. And I've been talking to a lot of Christian entrepreneurs about this. There's something in this Christian journey culturally that we have been taught. I don't even know really what it is. There's and I a very successful person I was having a conversation with several times he prefaced with, I'm not trying to be arrogant here. There was always a preface to what he was about to tell me he was an expert. And I said, I'm going to stop you because I'm struggling with this too. And I need to know, why are we like this? I need you to say that to me because I know who you are. And I know you're good at what you do. So what is your thought on that? Like, why are we like that? Why do we do that?
Honestly think for me personally, it's like a struggle between it's like a people pleasing thing.
Okay.
Because for me, that's what has been my issue, is because, we talked about it before we got started, but falling into the patterns that people have praised us for,
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
falling into patterns that people have praised us for, versus when you're in your calling and your
Okay.
gifting, what you're called to do. We don't but when we take things into our own hands and we're doing it at our own strength, that's when we fall into people pleasing. And so it's almost like, for me, it's almost as though I'm uh you know, I don't want to come across as this. I don't want you to think this about me. Why am but it's not that I don't care what people think and feel, because I do, but I shouldn't be overly concerned with how they receive me, because I'm not for everybody. I'm just not.
Right, right.
And
Yes.
that's got to be okay. And if
Yes,
I'm
yes.
constantly trying to, because that's part of the thing about moving around frequently too, and I moved around frequently my entire life, is
Mhm.
that the benefit is that makes me a super adaptable
Oh,
person.
yes. Okay. I'm glad you're touching on this. Okay, keep going and then I'll respond.
No, we can hop in at any time.
No, explain that and
Okay.
I'll respond.
Well, I think the benefit is that I'm a super adaptable person. The con is I'm a super adaptable person. Like, it's a two-edged sword for me in who I am, because I can adapt to any situation and I can find joy in it. I'll be okay, wherever I am, because I have to be. I've always
Right,
had to
right.
be. And so
Yes.
it's kind of
You
it's
said, because this is what spoke to me,
okay.
you find a way to be comfortable. It's basically trying to find a way to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. You scan and you find that spot and you're able to adapt to it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But is that the best thing for us, is to find the
Oh,
comfort zone, you
well,
know?
I mean, yeah, I definitely works. It works. It's a
It
great
works.
strategy.
Yes.
And the reason, okay, so yes, when I saw that, I sat down my two oldest daughters because they are in a speech and debate class right now with another homeschooling family that offered to do that for them. And the way that they have responded to this is vastly different, but in two ways that are things that I know that I do. When I saw, so one of them was kind of adjusting and adapting to what she knew was expected of her because she was supposed to be giving her own opinions
Mhm.
and arguing them. And then the other one, which I've learned, she is just the most stubborn, strong-willed individual. I just had a lot of leeway in my youth to use that in very destructive ways that were very rebellious. She doesn't go towards those things. She doesn't actually have the environment for that, but the heart of it is still there. And I mean,
Mhm.
she will do what she's told. She will obey, but whoa, she's going to let everybody know and she's going to resist it the entire way. It's for everybody. She will, but she's going to
Mhm.
obey, which I
Mhm.
could go into a whole spiritual thing with that. But I sat them down individually to talk to them about this. But the one that was adapting, your video was like and I said, no, I said some things that you said. I said, "Tell me, how that resonates. Like, what do you think about it?" She's like, "Absolutely. That's what I do." And then kind of like, "But, why wouldn't I do that?" And I started, explaining to her, you want to belong, but you don't want to fit in. Like you
Yeah.
don't lose your uniqueness. There was a woman that was telling a story once about how she was invited to go to join a large conglomerate of Christian speakers, and she was very unique to them. And as long as she stayed unique, she was asked to come back. As soon as she started becoming like them to fit in, she was no
Yeah.
longer invited back to the conference because she was to speak because she was just like
Like,
them. Yeah.
yeah. Wow,
So
that's good.
so I was like that. So one to encourage you, what you're sharing is landing where it's supposed to, because I wouldn't have been able to put words to it like that. I knew what I did and I knew what I was seeing in front of me, but I did not know how to speak to my daughter. And my whole goal is to just give them the information that I didn't have. I can't control what they do with it, but I just
Mhm.
want them to have the tools. And then if they're going to use them, but they'll have them in their tool belt.
Yes, that's so good. That is so good. I like what you said about your older daughter, how you said, like, she's got this, it's a built-in, like, stubbornness, resistant, but her environment, she doesn't have the environment to use it in the ways that maybe
Right.
we do. And that's all we can do as parents, I think, because I've had to have this conversation with God many times. Like, these aren't my kids. They're
Mhm.
they're entrusted to me during this very short season relative to
Oh
the
gosh,
length
yes.
of their life. For the rest of their life, they're gonna leave the nest. They're gonna have their own lives. My job right now, they're entrusted to me temporarily. They're your kids, and he's put something in each one of them that is gonna be, it can be used this way, or it can be like, it can
Mhm.
swing both
Yes.
ways, right?
It's useful if it's
And
put in the right
in the right
trajectory.
environment,
Yes.
right? Like, you have to, and I've said this about my youngest because she has those tendencies to be like, she's very stubborn. She stands for justice,
Oh, yes.
she'll say the things at 9 that grown adults won't say, which is actually so incredible because somebody has to be the one to say it.
Mhm.
Somebody has to be the one to say it. And when she says it, she's not wrong. She just has to learn how to deliver it
Right.
in a way that's going to be received, right? So I feel like with her, and I'm kind of like this too, like, I will say it, use the metaphor, like we're going bowling. Like, my oldest, she rolled the ball down, it goes all the way down, it knocks over the pins. Like, she's the oldest, she's got the oldest spirit, like, for the way that she's like mini mama with the girls. My youngest, she got us to have bumpers. Like, her ball's
Right.
gonna hit the side all the way down, cause disruption. She's gonna make it down, but it's gonna be in a different way. But I'm the bumpers,
Right,
like
right,
me and
right.
her
Yes.
dad, not just me, her dad and I, we're the bumpers. Like, like, we're creating the environment that she can, like, bounce off of and have that experience. So I sometimes I joke around. I'm like, hey, it's Jesus or jail. Like, we just got to try to get her down there, Like, that's all we can do. We have to leave it up to God.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh, yes. No,
That's
okay,
kind
I
of what
like
it
that.
feels like with her.
I'll
But
have to
yeah.
remember
Well,
that.
and to be unique and embrace who they are. Like I know that because of the way that I grew up and I had this like people pleasing tendency that and I really do feel like I'm growing out of it. And I think a lot of that comes with age and falling down and making mistakes and getting back up and learning how to be unapologetically myself and not feel like I have to constantly explain myself and everything I'm saying because whatever comes out of my mouth, like if I don't know who watches the videos I post or who reads anything that I write or anything like that. I don't go back and look at all of it on purpose because I
Right.
know that I have that spirit in me to like become obsessive about it. And so I don't do that. And it's like who it lands with is great. And if that's awesome, we're connecting that way. And if someone just scrolls on past me, that's fine too, because it's not for everybody. And when you lose the way that God made you, you're just like everybody else. And that's what society tells us. That's like what's coming in. Look like this, act like this,
Yes.
conform like this. But if we all did that as a body of believers or as a society, we're no longer, you have to have different people for everything to run well. Different people are good at different things. And that's how this thing works, is
Yeah.
that we all have our own special gifting and abilities. Like I was really tempted to watch like a lot of your like previous podcasts that I hadn't seen. And I was like, no, I'm not going to because I'm going to be influenced.
Yes.
I'm not gonna because I have seen some things, but I didn't want to like study it to prepare
Right.
for it to be a
Yes.
certain way here because then that's not authentic anymore. Then it's just like, well, what did everybody else do?
Yes. Yeah, yes, yeah. I mean, I have and it's funny you talking about your youngest because I and both of us having discernment. It's very easy to read a room.
Oh,
And
yes.
my youngest cannot read a room to save her life. And I've even tried as much as I'm telling the oldest, I'm like, don't adapt. And then I'm like, could you just kind of feel things out, little one? Like, what's the atmosphere here? And she's just a very joyous person, but sometimes there's somber moods that nobody's really ready for that to land on them right now, or they're not going to receive it well. So, and she just has basically said no. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Like, I have no desire to do that. I just would. And she does bring the joy. She does change rooms. So
That
I'll give her that. So,
that was going to be my next question. Like, how is it received? Because oftentimes, like, because especially when you have that in you to notice patterns in people and rooms and you have to read the room instantly because it's what makes you feel safe.
yes.
Then you're predicting and trying to insert what you think the room needs. But sometimes what the room needs is not what we think it does,
Right. It
And
needs
so
it
when
needs to
someone else
change.
doesn't have that filter, then they can bring something in that needed to be there. So yeah, everybody thinks that my youngest is hilarious. I'm like, I don't honestly don't know how you get away with it. I could never. I could never. But I love that it works for her.
Oh my gosh. I do know for a fact, this is so funny. I don't, and I may edit this out. I'll have to decide. So I've told the girls, like, I'm not a proponent for divorce. I do not want to be the poster child for that. And so I've explained to them that you don't just because of this, that, or other, you get to leave your marriage. Like, this has to be a conversation with God. And even cheating, I've told them, because that comes up on like TV shows and stuff like that. Yes, the adultery is permissible as far as divorce is concerned in the Bible, but that does not mean that you automatically get to leave your marriage. Like, you have to converse with God on the matter. And this exact scenario came up in like a somewhat Christian oriented TV show. And so I was like, so does she get to leave her husband right now because he had cheated? And they were like, no, they knew that. And then, but I said, so when can she make that conclusion? And one of my children said, when the fourth child is born, because they wouldn't all be here if I had gotten divorced any sooner. And I was like, okay, well, that was hilarious and pretty good, but we're going to have a conversation about that. But honest to God, we would not have been able to survive this season without that girl who can't read a room, who understands that it's sad, gets all that, but she's going to show up as herself anyways. And she is happy in whatever scenario, whether she's with her dad, whether she's with her mom, whether she's with the babysitter. She is, and she's not adapting. She's just finding joy in all of
Yeah.
that. And she has taught us so much in this process. And so I was like, okay, maybe you do wait for the fourth child. I don't know. Maybe that's
They
the
all
secret
needed to get
sauce.
there first. They all needed to arrive first, you know?
Oh my
That's
goodness.
good.
Yes.
Well, it's just, yeah, I think it's just so I really like that. I love that the innocence and the joy to have that. And they'll probably keep that, you know, because I feel like, I don't know, when does it kick in that we're supposed to be responsible adults? Because I'm 40 and I still feel some days like, how am I in charge of other people? You know, like I still, because I'm healing so much every day all the time. It's just a never ending healing process that I feel like and God working on me until I'm not here anymore, like is when
Yes.
the work's gonna stop, because it's so constant. And anytime anything happens, like I just have to explain it like, this is my first time around at this mom thing, and this is your first time around at this kid thing, and we're both figuring it out at the same
Yes.
time. And I think that that's really helped our relationship though, because I'm not like, I know everything and you're doing it because I said this. And like, no, I'm hanging on to Jesus by a thread here, guys.
Yes.
Like I'm trying to do it too. And so I just think that it helps them open up to us more and feel comfortable being themselves and who they are and feeling safe to do that.
There's some things, I mean, I joke with them all the time. Like any savings towards any future is for the therapy
Oh yeah,
that they're going to need.
100%. They're all going to end up in therapy and they're going to talk about us. It's just like, what's the topic going to be today? Like it's
Yes.
inevitable. I know it's coming, but
Yes. I mean, I'm glad because there are things, there are residual things coming from us, from our trauma and for whatever, I mean, I'm sure it's because we can only take so much information and apply it, or so much layers of things taken off, but we are going to transfer some of our past trauma because we haven't dealt with that layer yet. And honestly, like I said, the kids bring that up and the situations bring that up. And we have to backtrack and say, I'm sorry.
yes,
I don't recall hearing that a lot
right,
as a
right.
child. And even like with your video about the adaptability, I modeled this behavior. Like this is where this is coming from. And I had to sit down my oldest the other day, and because she was saying, she was being fairly disrespectful. I have very good kids, but she was being disrespectful. But then after 24 hours, I had to sit her down and say, that way that you spoke to me was exactly how I have spoken to you. Is there any way? And I wasn't. I know her well enough. She's not going to just be like you, and blame me. But let's be honest. Is this what you've received from me at
Mm-hmm.
times? And that's how you thought you should go about the situation
Mm-hmm.
that we were in. And we talked about it, and I just had to own that. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm undermining my own parenting. I'm setting her up to come at me later or use this against me. But I also have to acknowledge the truth of what
Mm-hmm.
I know and what I've done. She was like, I think so, but she said, Mom, I really enjoy sarcasm. So can we not take that away? Can we still keep the sarcasm? You know? Like,
Yes, but read the room.
yes, yes. And it's teaching me so much. And I can see even my relationship with God
Mm-hmm.
in that, and how I respond to him a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the time. This is probably I probably haven't said this out loud yet. This is a tension that I've been holding in my head lately. So let me ask you this. Do you like as you're doing what you're being called to do you have like an angel and a devil on your shoulder at times where it's like this is what did God really say this? Is am I supposed to be doing this? Am I this special? Am I not this special? Am I like
Well,
and does that go away? Is one of my
I don't know.
questions.
I'll let you know if it ever does.
Okay.
And where are you? Is that where you are right now? Because that's where I'm at right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
That's where I feel there. It's almost like I feel like a constant like tug of war. Like will be throughout the day, even where it's like, uh, it's I'll be on fire one second, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do it, and I'm just going for it, and then any hiccup, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be a hiccup. I could have missed like having a break that I desperately needed, and I'm stressing out and spiraling, and then it starts to pull me over here. Like, what if you're getting everything wrong? But like where I keep landing with it, honestly, is like this is where I think I've landed in it, is that I'm just taking the steps. I'm not trying to have my goal fixed at I'm going to be a successful chiropractor. I'm going to be this. I'm not going to be that. Like, I'm trying to almost keep the end blurry. Like, I don't want to think too far ahead of myself to create a goal that might not end up being where I end up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Because
if
it could be a path that opens the door to something
Right. Right.
else.
And I feel like that's what God has done so many other times, that I'm like, oh gosh, because I'll enter into a season that I felt for sure that I was supposed to be there, and then it ends badly, or there's this confusion wrapped around it, and God is not an author of confusion,
Right.
So I'm like, well, why am I here? But then once we get through that, regardless of how it ended, regardless of how it turned out, I'll get through it, and I'm like, oh, I see what you did, because in that I learned XYZ. Like, it might not have ended the way I wanted it
Mhm.
to. I wanted it to, and what I was hoping for. But man, I really learned these things, and now they're so applicable and so necessary in where I am today and where you've brought me today. So and I'm like, and sometimes I'm like, Lord, chiropractic school is really expensive. Like, I
Okay.
really hope I end up being one. But I mean, who knows what the end game's going to be? Like, I really don't know. I just feel like, Joshua, when he was taking a step, like or Moses, even like taking the waters don't part till you take a step. And so I'm just taking the steps
Right.
and just trying
Yeah.
to be obedient along the way, and then like keep out the noise, because I think that a lot of like another buzzword like imposter syndrome comes along with it. Like,
Yes.
who do you think you are? What are you doing? Why are you, like, I'm posting these little reels online, like, why are you doing that? Why do you think anybody wants to hear what you have to say? And like, I don't know. I really felt like God told me to do it. So I'm just being obedient, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know what's going to happen while I'm in school, what he's going to do while I'm in school and through that process, and how he molds me and uses that. I'm just along for the ride.
Yes.
But I do constantly have that tug of war, and I don't know if that ever goes away. I mean,
Okay.
is I don't know. When does it go away? I feel like it's less because I'm able to capture it better. Like, I feel like I just trust him so much. Like, nope, like the doors were open, and having people around me that I trust to speak over things, to receive counsel from, and like being careful with my circle, because I know that I'm adaptable person, and I know that I will read the room, and I know that I will
Mhm.
do the things. And so being very careful with who I allow to influence me, like recognizing who's around me, that like who are the people that I'm aiming for. Like, oh, I really love that I see that in you, that the tenacity that is one of my frustrations, right? I love that I see that in you, and like, and allowing those people to speak into me, and filtering out the things, like the people that don't need to speak into me. Like, there's just
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I have felt like the people for every season, like the tribe has shown up for every season. My marriage was always a roller coaster ride. And there were much bigger things that happened where I should, or not should have, but could have left. Like it made all the sense in the world. And the people surrounding me at that time were not, there was only two children at that time, but the people surrounding me were not going to go for that. And I, at the same time, God was telling me to wait. So I had the people for that. And then when it was time to go, when I was released from my marriage, both times what I was being told to do, I was resistant to. Like at the time that I wanted to go, I was being resistant to staying. And at the time that it was time to go, I was resistant to going. And I needed those people around me at
Mhm.
time. And I just remember I was going around. I was like, if I stay in my marriage, and this is right before, and then there was a very big, like, oh, yes, where you're going. But I knew, but I was like, will you still be friends with me if I stay in my, in my marriage? Like I was going around testing everybody because I knew the people in my life were not going to be for that. They knew it was getting to be a dangerous situation. And I was like, will you still be my friend? But this season, has been very lonely in the sense of and I know the season is up here. I know that's why my house is for sale, but the tribe has not arrived yet for what I'm doing, other than through a screen, honestly. Like I'm getting a lot of encouragement and permission through the people that I bring on here. Like the podcast has been a godsend, but that tribe has not shown up yet. And so I feel I'm having to go back. I'm having to reassess with God and surrender like
Mhm.
almost every morning. And what I realized yesterday, so during the Seder meal, I felt like I was heavily spoken to in the sense that, so this is the current tension that I have been holding. And it's kind of a reverse kind of comparison. I'm not looking at, oh, that person's better than me, or that person's more successful than me. And they're like, I want that. It's in the sense of uh the news or the things like, okay, what other single moms are experiencing. They're like, why would I have success when this other single mom is buckling under the weight, financial weight or whatever? And I'm in a community where that is very much a real thing. Or even going as far as Christians are being killed in Nigeria for their beliefs. So why would am I believing a prosperity gospel by believing that God is going to come through for me in this way? Like why would he come through for me and not come through for that other person who is obviously having more of a bigger issue, like not a financial issue, like a life issue, or even, diagnoses and things like that. And he spoke to me last night and it was, what is the alternative here? As far as if you aren't trusting me with what I'm calling you to do, then you're trusting yourself. So if I don't come through for you, Julie, then you come through for you. Like that's the only alternative.
Mhm.
So which are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to trust me? Or are you going to choose to trust you? Are you going to choose to trust me with the people that you're worried about? Or like what is the alternative? Are you going to rescue them? Are you going to rescue yourself?
Yeah.
And this is a tension I have been holding for weeks and not talking about it because it sounds so bizarre to me. Like I have not spoken to I said this aloud a little bit to my children last night, but I have not said it like this. And it gave me a very different perspective on this, as in, I'm just going to have to go my own route if I don't trust him with what he's telling me to do. I'm just going to have to rescue myself. And that sounds like hell to me.
Yeah.
That's literal hell. So
Yeah.
it was a gentle rebuke, but nonetheless, very okay. I need to stop holding that because all it's doing is putting me in neutral when I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be. It's actually
Ooh.
making me lukewarm
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I'm not cold and hating, and I'm not in love and hot. I'm neutral, which makes me the most ineffective person that I could possibly be, which is ultimately
Yeah.
what the enemy wants.
Well, and it's kind of the default human condition. right? Like we'll default to that, if
Yes.
it not everything is for us to understand. Not everything. We're not going to understand why things happen for other people and what their walk looks like.
Right.
When I was walking through all my stuff, I don't even want to know what it looked like on the outside.
Yes.
Like I can
Yes.
only imagine. I remember people calling me out during that season like, "What are you doing?" And not to compare it to anything else, but like I don't even want to know what it looked like. And I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
No,
Sorry.
I know what you're saying. Because I had to
Yeah.
go there as well. During that time that I wanted to leave, we lost our home.
Yeah.
Which was very ironic. I had to move into a teeny tiny apartment. Little did I know I was going to be moving into a much smaller space in an RV with more children. uh, it didn't, like, I've had those seasons where it's looked like God wasn't coming through. I've had those rebellious seasons, and that is
Yeah.
exact. And I don't know what's coming up either. I don't know, like, why would I not find joy in the journey right now? Because I don't even know what
Yeah.
could be coming up, and
Right. Yeah.
that Instagram, walk with me, Tanya Lee, that I
Uh-huh.
sent that. So that just came, I don't even know where that came from, but that has been very challenging for me to read her stuff and know that I am not only supposed to be obeying this, but I'm also supposed to find, like, to not have a backup plan, to
Right.
not be thinking about this. And I realized, and this is another thing where I'm like, how did we get this way? The fire that I told you about, that was just a highlight of 7 days of just constant, like, what the actual heck is happening here? And I was just thinking about it, holding it in my head, trying to figure out how I'm going to save myself. And I had a call with a group of entrepreneurial women. They didn't say anything super encouraging, but it just lifted me in that space. And I was elated. Like, I got off that call and I was elated for several hours and nothing had changed in my life. And
Mhm.
but after several hours of that, guilt settled in, as in the responsible adult would be getting out the spreadsheets right now, would be calculating and would be coming up with a plan. And that is exactly what her whole Instagram is not doing that. And so I had, again, those voices of, okay, now I'm finding the tension of I'm
Mhm.
supposed to find peace, but it doesn't feel responsible to be peaceful in this moment. Even like what you're saying about how expensive the school is, like, does that really make a whole lot of sense?
Yeah.
Is the spreadsheet lining up effectively
Yeah.
for this choice?
Right. Like if this is a trial run, I'd rather a cheaper route. Like
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I have a tendency to, or have had in the past. I do think I try to actively like do better about doing it. And God has worked on me so much with it. Just not, cause I will overthink everything and overanalyze everything. Well, and because I am curious about everything, and I want to learn about it, and then go down the rabbit hole of it, and then what are we gonna do? What's the plan? Like you said, and like creating this whole thing, and then I end up scrapping it because it's just just winging it, and it just feels better. I mean, there's so much more peace over it when I stop stressing out about it because it's the main person that pays for it is me, and then secondarily everybody around me because I'm just like a walking ball
Yes.
of
Oh
stress
my gosh.
and everybody feels it. And then it's not like if I'm sitting here telling the girls and that because they're my husband and I like we both know we're the adults that talked it through and everything. We both felt God speak to us, right? But the kids are following our lead. And so if I'm just a walking ball of stress and making it this big, stressful, everything sucks thing, then that just doesn't look like something that they're going to want to do. I
Right.
know that following God's call in your life is costly. Like I understand that
Yeah.
sacrifice comes along with it and that you have to die to yourself. And so like it's a process to do that. But it's also I feel like part of my responsibility as a mother because that's more important is to model how does your walk in obedience look like? Does it look like you're walking around super stressed out and trying to
Right.
control it? Are you actually letting God do it? Like, because I mean, that's if I'm wanting them to do that, then that's how that needs to be modeled, you know? And I do have to, like, going back to what we were talking about earlier, it comes with a lot of apologies. Like, it comes with a lot of
Okay.
accountability. And I think that you touched on it when we were talking about it earlier, but the I don't know where it came in that owning your mistakes and apologizing to your kids meant you had less authority, because
Right.
I don't it doesn't, you know? I think it's modeling accountability for them and humility, and, you know, none of us are perfect and we're gonna make mistakes, and this is how you own your mistakes and how you apologize for them, you know? Like, I did a step study with Celebrate Recovery, and it was a
Oh,
really
okay.
great
Yes, I've done
process.
steps.
Yeah, I really liked it, and just learning how to own your stuff and clean up your side of the street, and that's all you can do. You're not responsible for how everybody else responds to it and how they do it, but you are responsible for your side of the street. And so, like, I'm sorry for this. I was wrong. Will you, and asking for forgiveness, you know, like owning, well, not just, oh, I'm sorry if you felt like that, you know, like,
Oh gosh. That is the
I'm
worst,
sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry if you felt like I was being this way. No, I'm sorry that I was this way. And will you forgive me? And then they hear it, you know? Like, because we are little mirrors of our surroundings, they hear it, and I hear them do it to each other. Like,
Oh gosh.
I'm
Yes.
sorry I did this. I was wrong. Will you forgive me? Because you have to reconcile with the people in your life that you love and you care about, and you have to own your stuff. And I'm making a lot of mistakes all the time, and I'm going to continue to make them because I'm a human on earth.
Yes.
So
Oh,
just,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna, but that's the best that we can do is just try to own it when we mess up and bring it back to God and modeling for what that looks like, really. So,
Yes, and I mean, you have struck me just by what you're willing to share, the wisdom that you are receiving, applying, doing well, sometimes not doing well, and just being very, very honest about it. What would you say? This is a loaded question, so feel free to think about it. Who did you need as you were becoming are coming into this when it was time to the wine, even though it didn't seem like any, or let's go even go back like to it's time to move into an RV and not always having like that support of a alternative lifestyle. Like who, what would you say to that person, or what did you need to hear as you were coming to these decisions outside the Holy Spirit? Like, and I'm not saying go outside the Holy Spirit, but who did you need to hear from? What did you need to hear? What book did you need written
I
in that time?
I don't you answered the question for me, because I honestly feel like it taught me that I didn't need that.
Oh, okay.
I really felt like that was this whole season of us moving around and the stretching and entering into uncomfortable situations it's almost become the comfort zone. Like, if I'm not feeling like I'm a little uncomfortable and I'm not stretching, then I've been somewhere too long and I've been sitting in something for too long, because it's a growth process. And I think that it taught me that I because I would rely so heavily on people and I would rely so heavily on their feedback and approval, that it taught me to not need any of it. Like, I just, not that I don't want it and not that it's not nice, and I love my community and I love friendships and family that can do that, but I think that it taught me to stop relying on it and to stop having a need for it at all.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly,
You're,
like,
now you're speaking to me. This is something that was brought up to me because I was rescued by people several
yeah,
times and I felt like I owed them to be able to speak
yes,
into my life because they
yeah,
had to clean up some of my messes.
yeah,
And so, I was called out of your community as become an idol is what
yeah,
God laid upon me
yeah,
and started sifting from there. So
mhm.
yeah, that is I didn't know that was going to be your response. And no, that's perfect. I have just recently felt like my calling, and I don't know what this looks like. And I do feel like not enough people share in the messy middle. They tell once they've
Mhm.
arrived to the mountaintop, they tell you about the valley,
Yeah,
but it's a different perspective from the mountaintop. Like when you're in
definitely.
it, and I see this a lot in the entrepreneurial world where it's like, look at my millions of dollars. It's just so amazing. And they don't talk about what led up to that moment of finally becoming a profitable company and like the years they talk about it once they've reached there, but they feel like it discredits them in the process.
Mhm.
So I feel like people just need to be given permission to do what God's called them to do
Mhm. Mhm.
and just say, yes, okay, no, that doesn't make logical sense. So what?
Yeah. It's not going to make sense to anybody else. It's not supposed to. I
Right. It's
mean,
not
it's
their
not.
calling.
Yeah. Like, I had one woman speak to me, and she was describing me as, like, she saw me as, like, wrapped up in a cloak, and I would start swaying to music, and nobody else could hear the music but me. And it was like God was playing music for me. She's like, but nobody could hear the music for you. And you just started swaying a little bit at first. And then before you knew it, you threw off your cloak and you were like dancing down the hall and you looked kind of crazy because you were dancing to music that nobody else could hear. And it just like hit me.
Wow.
I was like, it honestly feels like that in a lot of seasons. Like, it doesn't make sense, Julie, that I am going back to school at 40 to a graduate program that's an hour and a half away. I'm sacrificing this time in my children's, I mean, they're not out of the house yet. They're homeschooled. My husband works a lot. Like, this, none of this makes sense. And honestly, I felt like when I started saying that, I felt like I was called to walk in this path, that it was met with kind of like, wow, like,
You're so brave.
and it was because it was so out of left field, you know? I think part of me, like, worried a small part of me worried, do they think I'm just doing it because I'm working at this chiropractic office? Like, what do they think my motives are? But it doesn't really matter what they think my motives are. It doesn't really matter if they understand what it is. Like, I have always felt called to connect with people in some kind of a way, and not the people that are put together. Like, the people that are really messy and stumble over their
Mhm.
words and are kind of awkward and are kind of broken, because I had always wished that I had that. So that's partly answering your previous
Okay.
question.
Okay.
I had always wished for this, like, someone that saw me in the brokenness and saw the person that was there behind all the mistakes and the mess ups. There's something else there. And I really feel like God's given me that ability to see that in other people. Like, I see who you are behind this, Like, that's not the things you're doing, and your behavior is not who you are. That's not your identity. And then calling out the identity that God put in them and, like,
Mhm.
seeing them for who they are. And I feel like this is just another extension of that, walking through, if this is how God is going to use me to, like, bring people in closer to him and for them to see him through however he made me, then that's his will. And I'm not going to muddle it up trying to make it something else that it's not gonna be. And I'm gonna mess up a whole lot while I'm doing it while we're figuring this out. And it's not supposed to be pretty. And I think that, so I would rather be like, such an open book. I'll word vomit on anybody about all kinds of stuff, because it's okay to not have it together. It's okay to not know everything and what it's gonna look like. It's okay not to have the spreadsheet. Like,
Right.
we're just going with the flow and seeing what God's doing with it. And I'm trying to it's creating a whole new discipline in me that is difficult
As discipline is. Oh my
and
gosh.
uncomfortable. But yeah, I think that the whole season, though, it's just I don't have the energy to care about what everybody else thinks about it and care about what I'm supposed to be doing.
Uh,
I can't have that duplicity to be like, "Oh, I'm caring what you're thinking and how you're regarding me and how you're receiving it, and I'm walking in obedience." I can't do both. So,
right, right. Yeah, it doesn't get done. then it just
No,
doesn't get that. You
it's
get,
a distraction, really.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like it's a huge distraction, and that's part of how the enemy works. Is like, let me distract you with all this noise so that you're not focused on your mission and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I mean, that might be the main reason why you don't feel like you have like the community outside of this right now. You
right,
know,
right, yeah, yes,
that
no,
might be
that's
exactly why you don't feel like you have that right now because what if you had it aside from this, how would that distract you from this?
right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That is very true. Well, you have. I well, I mean, when did you start sharing your videos? How long have you been doing that? Not
Oh,
long.
not very long. I think when did we connect about
Is it
when did
just
we
this year?
Yeah, just this year, I just started doing and it came from the first one I did. I didn't even know it was gonna start to be a thing, but the first one I did was I have a group of teen girls, like a small group, and the teen girls because I was such a wreck as a teenage girl, and I was just, flying by the seat of my pants, and I really wish that I had someone older to help, ground
Mhm.
things and like have that and to be someone that's walked through all of it and like, hey, I've already done it. You don't have to do it. I
Oh
tested
gosh,
the
yes,
waters for you, you
yes.
know? So one of their homework assignments was to write a letter to themselves about what would God say to you. Like that was the first video that I ever did was
Oh,
if God wrote you a letter, what would he say to you about you? What does he think of you? And like really having you and then so the first video I did was I read my letter and that I felt like what God would write to me and that was really healing in itself because it's a lot of the things that other people would call out in me when I was younger for like being very sensitive and being very talkative and like all of those things are so like he uses them for such good, and he sees that as part of how he works through me, and so it helps me see things that I would criticize in myself or that other people would criticize in me and like but this is why I made you that way.
mhm.
So that was the first one that I did. And then I found myself because I ping pong back and forth. I go to the extremes before I settle in the middle. So first I was like, oh gosh, do I have to do one every day now? I don't know how
Oh
social,
gosh.
you know, like I put one out there. Am I supposed to do one every day? But then doing that, then it like falls into my strength, like trying to rely on my strength and what do I have to say today
Oh
versus
yeah.
waiting until there's something to be said. So that's where we are now.
Well, yeah, I feel like this is such a buzzword that I'm about to say, but I'm using it in a different context. Like I needed a Me Too. This is like the new Me Too movement.
Uh-huh.
I feel like okay, God, like in the sense of I'm not crazy. God is calling me to something,
Uh-huh.
and because and it's like the calling can be vastly different and unique, but I feel like the feelings are very similar. The path is very similar. This is Shiloh, this is my logo for Pursuing Joy that Shiloh painted for me, but I'm like, we need some other stuff around this path. Like, this isn't real.
Where are all the boulders?
Yes. Like the path is a lot different than this. So,
That,
and you're highlighting that and it will speak to the people it's supposed to speak to and it will bounce off the others
yeah.
and that's fine.
Exactly. I think that if you don't have the obstacles and you don't have the things that you have to face and you don't have to have the things that bring you back home and bring you back into your purpose and your mission, how else do you find the joy, right? Like you have to have the hard moments, you have to have the
Right.
frustration to fully feel everything else. It's not or else there's not a contrast there at all. Like
Yes.
I appreciate so much more all of the things because of all the bad things. I appreciate all of the good things more because of the bad things, not in spite of, you know?
Mhm.
It makes me so appreciative of everything that we've had to walk through and everything that has felt so hard and so gut-wrenching, anything that's happened before, be like, "Gosh," and I just felt so loved and taken care of during that time, but because as we've been there, I can really, really appreciate being over here, you know?
Yes, yes, and those pain I've realized lately because 'cause I'm walking through something with my 3rd daughter, which we're going to a chiropractor. She has been in a lot of pain, and now that I'm even thinking about it's my 3rd daughter, and at the end of each day, I'm always like, "Did I miss her? Did I not get to her? Did I spend enough time with her?" That's usually what I'm thinking about, and this pain, she doesn't have it all the time, but it's made her want to be in my proximity a lot more, and she's about to go into teenage years, so I know that's not necessarily gonna be the case, but the pain makes us want to be closer to God. Her pain is making her want to be closer to her comforter, and right now, the human that she knows is her provider and
Mhm.
protect her. And
Mhm.
I was just like, I'm really starting to understand the pain points of life because
Yes.
it really does bring us closer and under the wings and just remembering that we don't have that. Like we have to rely on our
Uh-huh.
creator, on our source,
Yeah,
our savior.
that's so
And so it all comes together. I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing. I know a lot of time, like especially in this day and age where everybody's like an influencer and all that, it can feel like we're trying to mirror something or you can have all kinds of things that come with that. But I know your heart behind it and I know you're doing what you're being called to do and I know I needed it. So I can't and I also know based on sometimes I don't interact with people that have created like the person that got me into an RV. I was watching that person on social media. I wasn't telling her all the things that she was making me
Uh-huh.
think and directing me. So you don't even with that you don't even know
Right.
what you're doing and how you're leading someone on to their next step. So I'm grateful to have known you in person and grateful for what you're choosing to share because it has given me the next to proceed on into what I've been called to do. My last question that I ask everybody, what is currently bringing you joy?
What is currently bringing me joy? I'm thinking of so many moments right now, so I'm trying to, like, compile them into a good answer.
Is there a theme of those moments?
I mean, a lot of it right now, and it sounds so simple, but it's the time because we're so busy in this season, but it's the time that I'm in the car with everybody and we're just like blasting worship music. I mean, that's where we find our moments together and we're connecting and like and singing our hearts out and going nuts and there's Christian music's so cool now.
Oh god. Yes. Oh god. Yes. Yes.
So cool now, and so it's so for us to just be able to share that together and then finding little moments here and there, with Simon and sharing a joke and encouraging each other in our day or like sending an audio message or, crawling in bed with one of my kids at night and just like 10 minutes of hearing about their day. Like those are the things that we're hanging on to right now. And then I think moments like this, honestly, like getting a chance to talk to you because you have inspired me so much to fully walk into something and to get like really give it a go, I'm really really trying to be obedient and disciplined in this season and not like it's easy to slide back into a comfort zone where I was for so long. It would be so
Oh
easy to
gosh.
do
Yes.
that. It would be so easy to do that, but to keep pressing towards the uncomfortable and to keep pressing towards something new. And then every time that, I think God's just so faithful to like plug you in here and there with little confirmations and little words from somebody
Yes.
that just keep you going. Like and it's so unbelievable. Like never, I'd always tell the girls, never hesitate to say the one thing that you think out loud about somebody. Like if you
Oh
notice
yeah.
something in somebody, say it out loud when you see it because it could change their whole day. Like You never know
Yes.
what somebody else is walking through. It can change their entire day. And so many people have done that for me and they never knew. Like,
Right.
that's
They
what
were just
exactly
saying,
what I needed in that moment. And I'm trying to do better about saying, that's exactly what I needed. Thank you.
yeah,
Because
I know.
it's
Yeah, it goes both ways. Yes.
yeah. So I th- and just trying not to get so caught up in the hard and like just finding joy in everything and all the people around us and all the experiences we have and not missing all of those moments because I'm wrapped up in the hard is so
Right.
important. Like it just keeps everybody going to just not get on a pity boat like everything's so hard right now because it's not supposed to be easy. So
Right.
that's what we're
Yes.
doing now.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much for being willing to share today.
Thank you.
When's the last time you were working and completely lost track of time? Recently, this happened to me at a coffee shop. I was planning to work for a couple of hours, and 6 hours later, I realized I was still there. Not because I had to be, but because I was working in my working genius. What if more people got to work that way? That's the idea behind Enjoy Workforce Solutions. Recruiting built around how people are wired to work, so the right role energizes them and your team feels the difference. Discover what that could look like for your organization. Visit Enjoy Workforce Solutions.